Now on CoastTV News.
A mild and muggy Monday for Delmarva, then the showers and storms return on Tuesday, followed by warmth and hot conditions by the end of the week. I'll track the storms and heat coming up next.
Chaos in California. With the National Guard deployed after violent protests against illegal migrant arrests, we have reaction from here on Delmarva.
Salary saga. Rehoboth Beach commissioners consider a pay increase for its city manager after months of controversy on his salary.
Waterside wreck. What had responders concerned when they arrived at this scene last night in Millsboro?
This is CoastTV News Today.
And it is Monday, June 9th, 2025. Good morning, I'm Matt Pensick.
And good morning, I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us for our 5 o'clock hour.
Yeah, and forgive us if we are patting ourselves on the back this morning. Over the weekend, this newscast won the Associated Press's Outstanding Morning Newscast Award for 2024. It's one of 8 awards CoastTV took home, including Outstanding News Operation. It's a team effort all the way, Elisa
Absolutely.
and Bob.
That's a good start to a Monday morning.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely
Major
worthy.
day.
Absolutely. And our producer, Alyssa, was nominated for Best Producer as well. So it was just a lot of good news from over the weekend, carrying that good energy into Monday, which we need because it was a stormy start to our Monday.
Indeed,
yes.
It was a loud and stormy start,
Absolutely.
Bob, this morning.
It was, and good morning, guys, and glad that we are an award-winning newscast on this Monday morning. We're looking at visibilities that are low. We had the storms overnight. Now the fog is rolling in. 3/4 of a mile in fog in Georgetown, 1.5 miles in Salisbury, 1.25 miles in Cambridge and Easton as well. Ocean City down to 1 mile. So you know the drill, low beam headlights and take it slow. You can see how those storms were coming through as we went through the overnight, some heavy rain, but now they're gone, leaving us with just mild and muggy conditions with those areas of fog. So watch for that this morning as the storms are moving off to the north and east. And we do have a weak area of low pressure heading our way, but I think for the most part, the rain is pretty much done as we go through the morning hours. We're looking at temperatures into the mid 60s right now. 66 Millsboro, 67 in Salisbury. Bethany beats 65. Rehoboth right now 64, so it's that air you can wear. It's just mild and muggy and foggy too. With a light easterly breeze, that breeze kept us cool yesterday. Now we're going to see the fog this morning. Here's Futurecast with some breaks in that fog by mid-morning. By the noon hour, I think we're into the mid to upper 70s. We're starting to see some breaks in the overcast. I think we will see some sunshine, and that will allow some inland areas to warm into the 80s this afternoon with cooler 60s and 70s at the beaches. Here's your day part forecast. I think we had the fog through about 8 a.m., then clouds, then some peaks of sun this afternoon. Once again, mild and muggy. Those conditions stay with us, and another round of showers and storms into Tuesday. Some of those could be strong to severe. I'll have much more on that and your work week forecast coming up a little bit later in the newscast.
All right, thank you, Bob. And let's check out the situation that Bob's talking about. Here we have a live scene in the canal area of Lewis. You can see some of that haze, some of that mist in the sky overhead. And as we talked about, there are some foggy conditions. So that is what you'll have to factor in as you get ready to make your morning commute. Our top story this hour is the chaos in Los Angeles as violent protests over the arrest of illegal migrants continued. A number of those involved waving Mexican flags and flags of other Latin American countries. And President Donald Trump deployed 2,000 National Guardsmen to help the area to get it under control.
Jen Sullivan shows us reaction from law enforcement as well as community members.
The National Guard pushing back crowds in Los Angeles Sunday as protests over recent immigration raids stretch into a third day. Federal officers using pepper spray to disperse crowds. Crowds begin protesting Friday after dozens of people were arrested by federal immigration agents as the Trump administration cracks down on unauthorized immigration. The latest raids instilling fear and anger in many Southern California communities.
Our community is living in a state of terror.
Why are they being treated like second-class citizens? That's the anger the community feels right now.
Saturday, crowds taking over streets, shutting down traffic. This car set on fire in Paramount, about 20 minutes south of LA, where authorities tried to control the crowds. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department releasing an advisory Saturday, saying in part, protesters became increasingly agitated, throwing objects and exhibiting violent behavior toward federal agents and deputy sheriffs. The White House deploying 2,000 National Guardsmen to help local authorities in Los Angeles.
We're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart.
Some leaders, though, think it's a drastic response.
This is really just an escalation of the president coming into California. We haven't asked for the help. We don't need the help.
California has the highest unauthorized immigrant population in the country, according to data from the Pew Research Center, with roughly 1.8 million in 2022. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
President Trump and California Governor Gavin Newsom spoke on the phone Friday to discuss the situation, according to Newsom's office. This was before Trump ordered the National Guard to assist. And last night on X, Delaware Governor Matt Meyer posted, President Trump's move to deploy California's National Guard is an alarming abuse of power.
Here's a reaction from Congressman Andy Harris, who represents Maryland's Eastern Shore. When California state leaders refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement agents, they're not defending peace, they're defending disorder. New this morning, Rehoboth Beach commissioners are debating giving a pay increase for city manager Taylor Tedder. You may remember Tedder was already offered a salary of $250,000 when he began working for the city in 2024. At the end of May, a lawsuit by a group of homeowners arguing that the hiring process violated the city charter is moving forward after a Chancery Court ruled they have a viable claim.
And Tedder is also presenting an update on goals that he is responsible for. These include ensuring the city adheres to state and federal regulations, preparing a citywide stormwater management plan, and putting in place a process to identify sidewalk maintenance needs and how to address those issues.
A public hearing taking place tonight in Lewis on regulations for operating a business out of your home. Some of the recommendations include limiting the workspace to 10% or 300 square feet of any floor of the home or separate building on the property. Parking must be consistent with the neighborhood. The customers, clients, or patients are by appointment only.
New this morning, Berlin offices are attempting to finalize contracts for key areas in the town. Tonight, the town council is expected to vote on a deal for fire and EMS service, along with the contract of town administrator Mary Bolin and an agreement with Park Mobile. This is at the mayor and town council meeting scheduled for tonight at 6 o'clock.
Also tonight in Milford, the city council there is expecting to approve the date for people to appeal the recent assessment of their property. The date they are looking at is July 28th. The Milford Council says copies of the assessment are available online and at City Hall. Appeal applications to the Customer Service Department must be in by 4:30 p.m. on Monday, July 11th.
We have an update on the deadly crash that happened on Friday in Milton. According to Delaware State Police, Mary O'Byer is the 74-year-old woman who is a victim of that crash. Here's what DSP says happened. A Ford Bronco passed a stop sign and into the path of a Sussex County EMS Suburban, which had lights and sirens on. The Bronco was hit on its passenger side and spun into a tree. O'Byer was taken to the hospital where she died. The paramedic driving the SUV was brought to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
New overnight, the Indian River Volunteer Fire Company responded to reports of a boat sinking and leaky fuel. Here are some pictures of what they found when they arrived. A boat lodged under the dock with the bow sticking upwards. This is just before 6:30 Sunday at the Point Marina. The fuel containers were taken to land. No reports of any injuries.
And we are just getting started in this hour of Coast TV News today.
Yeah, coming up, Harvest helps homeless, how one woman's hobby now being used to aid those in need.
Also, storm surge, the possible tornado in Oklahoma, and the damage it brought to buildings and roads.
And card confusion, how Costco memberships are creating havoc at some airports. Coast TV News today is back after this.
5:11 on this foggy Monday morning. Bay of Health Cam and over 66. You can see the low clouds and fog. Visibility 3/4 of a mile in Georgetown, a mile in Ocean City. The same for Cambridge, Easton 1.25 miles. Salisbury 1.5 miles. Take it slow. Use the low beam headlights this morning. It is muggy and mild out the door with temperatures in the mid 60s. A little bit of an easterly breeze, which kept us cool yesterday, and that's going to keep us foggy this morning. You can see how we had the storms last night, but now we're looking at just quiet conditions across Sussex County, but still a storm going on between Dover and Middletown. So that's where the action is right now, but I think we do get a break from the storms. But not the fog this morning. I gave it the red light on your morning commute for the fog. Thick at times and still some wet roads from last night's storms and some puddles too. Green light for the afternoon and evening commute, but warm and muggy conditions.
Bob, a heads up for drivers in Salisbury today with the start of a road project. The city says it is starting a striping project. Crews will begin on Church Street and Vine Street, and work will run from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it's expected to wrap up in just one day. The city said streets will stay open while work is underway.
In Worcester County, the closure of north and southbound lanes that began at midnight on Route 113 is supposed to have reopened just minutes ago. And this is in the area of Bishopville Road and Kepler Lane to allow for the movement of oversized natural gas tanks. The upcoming closures are Wednesday, June 11th, Friday, June 13th, Monday, June 16th, and Wednesday, June 18th. Maryland Department of Transportation State Highway Administration officials say they expect the roadway to reopen by 5 o'clock each morning.
New data suggests there's a link between lying and credit card debt. A new survey from the online marketing firm LendingTree found that about 4 out of 10 consumers with credit card debt have lied about it. The survey found that rose about half from those who earned more than $100,000 a year and are in credit card debt and have lied about it. The average credit card interest rate is right around a staggering 21.4%.
Summertime travel is ramping up, and TSA wants you to know, while Costco cards may be good for getting hot dogs, can't use them as a form of identification. The Transportation Security Administration reminding flyers this week that despite rumors on social media, Costco and other membership club cards do not count for screening. TSA says trying to use club cards for ID could actually lead to delays and travel headaches.
Coming up, high wind havoc, the devastating scenes in Oklahoma after a possible tornado ripped through parts of that state.
We're seeing dense fog this morning. Use caution out there. We're seeing the Gateway Subaru Cam at Ocean City, 66 degrees with limited visibility. A foggy morning and then muggy Monday on the way. More showers and storms Tuesday, followed by warm to hot conditions the rest of the week. Your forecast details coming up in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
Time is 5:16, and check out the foggy conditions in Ocean City this morning. This is a live look. Look at this, everybody. We have some school delays, Bob, on the eastern shore this morning due to that fog.
And that's not surprising, Matt, because we are seeing some visibility less than a mile in some places. So we had the storms last night, and now with the muggy conditions in place, we have the fog. It'll be humid today and tomorrow. The fog will burn off and lift this morning. Otherwise, 70s and 80s today, and then a stormy Tuesday with a cold front, maybe the possibility of some strong to severe storms. And then midweek, it's a taste of summer, mid to upper 80s, and maybe our first 90-degree reading possible as we go into later in the week, and it becomes muggy once again later in the week. I think we get a break from the humidity Wednesday. But right now in the fog, 1 mile visibility in Cambridge, also the same for Ocean City. Only 3/4 of a mile in Georgetown, 1.5 miles in Salisbury, 1.25 miles in Easton. So you can see how the fog is pretty widespread across Delmarva this morning. So watch out for that. As far as rain chances, low the rest of today. But then as we go into Tuesday with the cold front, those chances increase sharply to likely as we go into the afternoon and evening hours with the cold front, and then drying out after that. It's not dry now. It's muggy and mild, mid-60s, 66 in Millsboro, 65 Bethany Beach, Redden 65, 67 in Salisbury. So pretty consistent temperatures across the board. And we have a light easterly breeze. That kept us warm yesterday. Cool, I should say, yesterday. I don't think we're as cool today. As we're looking at those storms that were rolling through last night, and now they continue to exit to the north and east. Still some showers and storms between Middletown, Smyrna, and Dover right now, but those are moving off to the northeast. So we will get a break. We'll just see mild and muggy conditions much of the day with the weak system just to our west. There are stronger cold fronts back to the west of the Ohio Valley and the upper Midwest, and that will usher in that next chance of showers and storms tomorrow, followed by drier air. Here's Futurecast this morning at 6 a.m. We've got the fog and low clouds. By mid-morning, I think we could see some breaks, but it's very muggy. It's that air you can wear. By midday, we're looking at at mid to upper 70s, inland 60s and 70s at the coast. Then with some sunshine, I think we do get into the 80s for some folks. Mid 80s, that might be pushing it, but definitely warmer and a little cooler 60s and 70s at the beaches. And then we could see more of that fog redeveloping again tonight. Then we move into Tuesday with showers and storms. Now, this model has them moving in during the morning hours and maybe some heavy rain as we go through the morning. Other models had the showers and storms into the afternoon with gusty winds, maybe damaging winds as well, with temperatures near 80 degrees. And then we finally dry it out after that. We do have a low threat or a marginal risk of seeing damaging winds as we go into your Tuesday, especially Tuesday afternoon. So keep that in mind. Then after that, it's dry on Wednesday and then warm and humid basically Thursday into Friday as we have more warmth surging in from the south and west. And it'll be feeling like summer big time by the end of the week as we're looking at muggy to humid conditions. It dries out a little bit Wednesday, but then humid to very humid with that heat by the end of the week. Paul Davis 7-day forecast, 80 today, mostly cloudy, 81 Tuesday, stronger showers and storms, and then sunny Wednesday, 84, less humid, 88 Thursday, close to 90 in some spots, upper 80s Friday, and then the weekend could be a little unsettled to start. Showers and storms Saturday, 81, but then hopefully drier for Dad on Father's Day, 76, mostly cloudy. Congratulations to Gail Dennis from Frankfurt on winning a brand new umbrella from Paul Davis and Coast TV.
Severe weather, including a possible tornado in Oklahoma, left buildings damaged and a few major roadways. This is Highway 20, which is about 20 miles north of Tulsa. The stretch of highway was swamped by heavy rain. The big storms in northeastern part of the state left thousands without power and damaged buildings in the nearby cities of McAllister and Wilburton.
Later this morning in Milton, Delaware District 6, State Senator Russ Huxtable is holding what he is referring to as a constituent conversation. According to the senator's office, Huxtable will provide legislative updates along with taking questions from those he represents. Huxtable's Senate district, that includes area in House District 20, which has not had representation this entire year in Legislative Hall due to the controversial absence of Rep. Stell Parker Selby. This morning's event is at 9 at the Milton Library.
Coming up, Homegrown Help, the story of how one woman's garden passion is now a benefit for the homeless. Coast TV News Today returns in a moment. Tonight in Salisbury, the City Council is taking up a couple of ordinances. One involves money for water main infrastructure for future growth in the Naylor, Mill Road and Jersey Road areas. Also, the council will decide to accept money from the Governor's Office of Crime Prevention to buy camera equipment. Tonight's work session is at 7 o'clock.
A Milton woman's childhood hobby now being used to help the homeless. Terry Morrison has gardens in her backyard and is still planting more. She says everything will go to the Shepherd's office in Georgetown.
I grew up with a financially disadvantaged family. And my grandpa taught me how to garden. So what we want to do here is to provide for people that maybe right now they can't provide for themselves.
And Morrison says she's already planted tomatoes, blueberries, even catnip. And she says she plans to plant even more in the weeks ahead.
Over the weekend, Matt, you said you went to Cape Henlopen State Park. A little iffy with the weather. How was that?
Yeah, it was very foggy, about maybe 20 yards. That's a rough estimate as you looked from the beach out into the ocean. You could hear the foghorn from the lighthouse.
Okay.
Bob, fog is in play this morning.
Could be getting a workout this morning. Yeah. Exactly. We're seeing the fog on land and also over the water, too, with a dense marine fog advisory. So caution boaters for the Atlantic waters as we're looking at very low visibility, maybe less than a half mile. Rip current threat and UV index moderate today at the beaches, Ocean City and Fenwick Island. Fog early on. That will lift this morning. Some breaks of sun and temperatures in the low to mid 70s. Waves around 2 to 3 feet. Definitely could be a foggy ride up to Cape May on the ferry today. Lewis lower 70s, and Rehoboth as well. Morning clouds and fog with some afternoon sun. On the bay side, your UV index is moderate. Lower 80s in Cambridge. I think some breaks of sun and very muggy this afternoon and near 80 for Crisfield as the muggy weather continues. Looks like another chance of showers and storms heading into Tuesday. Some of those could be strong to severe. Much more on your forecast coming up in the next half hour.
And coming up after the break, multilingual learning, how Millsboro students shared what they've learned in classes in 2 languages.
Also, property tax review, the rate for the new fiscal year expected for approval in Rehoboth Beach.
And out of control in California, the chaotic situation fueled by protests over the arrests of illegal migrants. Stay with us on Coast TV News Today.
Now on Coast TV News.
A mild and muggy Monday for Delmarva, then the showers and storms return on Tuesday, followed by warmth and hot conditions by the end of the week. I'll track the storms and heat coming up next.
Chaos in California. With the National Guard deployed after violent protests against illegal migrant arrests, we have reaction from here on Delmarva.
Salary saga. Rehoboth Beach commissioners consider a pay increase for its city manager after months of controversy on his salary.
Waterside wreck. What had responders concerned when they arrived at this scene last night in Millsboro?
This is Coast TV News Today.
9th, 2025. Good morning, everybody. I'm Matt Pensick. Good morning, Elisa.
Good morning, Matt. Good morning. I'm Elisa Weber. Thank you for joining us.
And it is 5:29. We had some very loud thunder about 3 hours ago.
We did. A lot of people probably woke up. It didn't last that long, but thunderstorms at that time of the night, not ideal.
And what about the lightning?
The lightning was really intense too, but in the summertime, an afternoon thunderstorm, I do like an afternoon thunderstorm. Not at 2 a.m.
Not while you're making your way
Not when you're trying to sleep, or like us, if you're driving into work. Didn't last that long,
well,
and yeah.
It just gives Bob a little extra something to talk about this morning. So Bob, some excitement here.
A little more on my plate for a Monday morning. Good morning, Lisa and Matt. I was chasing those storms. They were moving to the northeast. I was driving in that direction, so I saw the end of the rain and the lightning, but those storms are gone now, and we're looking at the fog following the storms. So wet roads, 1.25 miles in fog in Cambridge and Easton, 3/4 mile in Georgetown, 1.5 miles in Salisbury, 3/4 mile in Ocean City. So use a low beam headlights. Be extra careful out there this morning. Leave extra time to get to your destination. You can see how these showers and storms are moving through from southwest to northeast. Weren't severe, some heavy rain, vivid lightning, but those have now moved offshore. Otherwise, we're looking at conditions drying out, so to speak. Still very muggy and mild. We're seeing some showers farther to the north near Dover. Otherwise, we do have a weak area of low pressure. So we're going to be seeing some fog this morning, continuing dense at times, and then finally lifting through the day. Out the door right now, it is mild and muggy with temperatures in the mid to upper 60s with a light onshore flow right now. We're going to be stuck in the fog for a couple hours this morning. Futurecast at 9, maybe some breaks in the fog, and then it should be lifting by noon. Just mostly cloudy skies with temperatures upper 70s, 60s and 70s at the beaches. Not the best beach day. By afternoon, I think we'll see more in the way of sunshine and temperatures inland close to 80 degrees, while at the beaches, a little bit of fog, 60s and 70s there. School winding down, and it's going to be a foggy one off to school for the kiddos. 65. Watch for the really low visibility. You see that little stop sign on the bus? Look out for it. It'll be there. Make sure you stop. Wet roads and puddles this morning. Otherwise, warm and muggy heading home, and 77 degrees.
Thank you, Bob. And let's check out those conditions Bob just mentioned. We see actually a lot of fog in Rehoboth Beach right there. This is right off of the boardwalk. So again, as you're driving to work this morning, be extra careful. But later today in Rehoboth Beach, city commissioners are looking at a key part of the new budget. And our top story this half hour is the city's property rate for fiscal year 2026. The recommendation is to keep the existing rate of over 7 cents per $100 of assessed value. The city is expecting to receive over $2.5 million in revenue from property taxes. The 2025 fiscal year is the first with this rate. Last year it increased from 6 cents per $100 of value, and Rehoboth Beach's new budget goes into effect on July 1st.
And this is part of a busy day for Rehoboth Beach officials. The commissioners are debating giving a pay increase for city manager Taylor Tedder. Now, you may remember Tedder was already offered a salary of $250,000 when he began working for the city in 2024. At the end of May, a lawsuit by a group of homeowners arguing that the hiring process violated the city charter is moving forward. It's after a Chancery Court ruled they have a viable claim.
The violence in Los Angeles over the arrest of illegal migrants continues. Check out some of the damage on your screen right now. This car on fire in the downtown area of the city, burning during anti-ICE protests. And National Guard troops arrived in downtown on Sunday after being ordered into the city by President Trump.
Yeah, shocking images that we're seeing there. You have to check out this report that we got from Rob Scott as he was in the middle of this overnight chaos.
Well, the chaos here in downtown Los Angeles continues tonight. I got to say, it doesn't feel like the LA we all know and are familiar with. This feels like some sort of third world conflict zone. I mean, we have fires burning in the middle of intersections. We have police and law enforcement agencies under constant attack by these protesters. They have had rocks hurled through the windscreen. And now they are firing fireworks directly at officers who have backed off a bit, I've got to say. And as the night has worn on, the number of protesters certainly has dwindled, but they are the ones left are the real anarchists, the ones who are intent on causing the most damage, the most mayhem. Donald Trump, as we know, has ordered in 2,000 National Guardsmen, he says, to basically crush these riots. The California governor, Gavin Newsom, warned that sending in those troops would only make things worse, be inflammatory, and that certainly does appear to be the case. And now we are learning that the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, has more than 500 active duty Marines on standby to come in here if necessary. So as the night is wearing on, tensions are not dissipating. Things are only going to get worse, I fear. I'm Rob Scott in downtown Los Angeles. Back to you.
Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown said in a release statement Sunday night, responding to President Donald Trump's deploying federalized National Guard troops, saying in part, quote, "This is not a good faith effort to preserve law and order. It is a calculated move to intimidate Americans who dare to speak out."
We also saw the reaction from Congressman Andy Harris, who represents Maryland's Eastern Shore, when California state leaders refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement agents. They're not defending peace, they're defending disorder.
Tonight in Milford, answering the question of how to pay for the recently approved Deep Branch Park, City Council could authorize the Outdoor Recreation Park and Trails program, provide money, including a minimum of $125,000 in matching funds. Last month, plans were approved for Deep Branch Park off South Rehoboth Boulevard. It includes a walking and biking path, a playground, more than 7 acres of open space, a basketball court, and a pickleball court.
New overnight, the Indian River Volunteer Fire Company responded to reports of a boat sinking and leaking fuel. Here are some pictures of what they found when they arrived. The boat was lodged under the dock with a bow sticking upwards. This is just before 6:30 Sunday night at the Gull Point Marina. The fuel containers were taken to land. No reports of any injuries.
In Cambridge, police are investigating a deadly shooting. Last night, police responded to the 900th block of Camellia Street late Sunday, where they found a man with a gunshot wound to the head. According to police, life-saving measures were attempted, but the victim was declared dead at the scene. We are still awaiting an update on the suspect or suspects in this shooting.
In Lewis, city officials say the $8 million fundraising goal to purchase the 4th Street Preserve was reached 3 months ahead of deadline. The 30-acre property, a rare forest in the heart of Lewis, will now be restored into a public nature preserve with trails, new plantings, and wetland areas. City leaders say the next phase will focus on site restoration, and thanks to hundreds of donors, including foundations, the state, and over 1,300 locals, the city will officially acquire the land soon, with plans to make it a model for urban forests across Delaware.
If you live in Delmar and saw smoke in the air on Sunday, it was most likely from a controlled burn. The Delmar Fire Department says they did a burn on Stage Road near Route 13 Ocean Highway. According to the department, the area was burning into the overnight, and the department says they were monitoring that burning. And 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students from the Spanish Immersion program at Millsboro Middle School recently held a social studies fair. Students showcased their projects about geography and civics and economics and American history.
Telemundo Delmarva and CoastTV News reporter Ana Sofia Roman takes us through the fair and shows us what it means to everyone involved.
75 poster boards and 3D physical projects in the auditorium at Millsboro Middle School, all showcasing students' hard work and creativity in both English and Spanish. Some projects were about Mount Everest, the economy of Grotto Pizza, and the 3 branches of the government. Raúl Hernández Barrios, an 8th grader, did his project about the Holocaust.
I was just shocked to know that they have been killing much, especially since they just separated the men, children, women.
These projects that you see on both sides took students about 3 weeks to complete between their research, making the trifold, and then building a 3D physical project.
They had an amazing time. It was difficult for them. Researching in English and in Spanish is very difficult, just like the school year was. Learning content of social studies in 2 languages is a little bit difficult, but they stepped up and they did an amazing job, as you saw. I'm really proud of them, I really am.
Ending the school year doing a deep dive on social studies. In Millsboro, Ana Sofia Roman, Coast TV News.
And we got a lot more news to get to. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, wild weather in the U.S. from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic. We look at the severe systems and the damage they caused.
Also, thunderstruck the dominating night by the Western Conference champs that evened the NBA Finals at a game apiece.
And reeling in rewards, a tradition in Salisbury that brings the excitement of fishing to children. Stay with us on Coast TV News today.
It is 5:41 on this foggy Monday morning. Here's the Spicer Brothers camp in Salisbury. You can see we're socked in with the fog there, 67 degrees. Mile and a half in fog. You're not alone. 3/4 of a mile in Georgetown. The same for Ocean City. Mile and a half in Cambridge, Easton, 3/4 of a mile. And that fog's going to be with us for a couple of hours. Mid to upper 60s out the door this morning. It's mild, it's muggy, it's foggy. A little bit of a breeze, especially along the coast. We had the storms earlier. Those have since moved to the northeast. Otherwise, we're just left with the muggy conditions and some of the fog as well. Had some storms earlier between Dover and Middletown, but for the most part, the storms are done. As far as golfing today, I don't know, a little wet, muggy. I putted it in the fair category on purpose. Morning fog, otherwise warm and muggy today with a high of 80 degrees. And call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone. It's sponsored by the law offices of Brock City, Mandalis, Federico.
Over the weekend, Wicomico County's annual Youth Fishing Derby took place. Young anglers ages 15 and under came out to Salisbury City Park to cast their lines in the water. After hooking their catch, each participant had their fish measured by volunteers. Prizes were then awarded for categories including most fish caught, most unusual catch, and the biggest fish.
I've been fishing a couple more times before. We've been here for a little while and I got a couple nibbles, but I haven't caught a fish yet.
It's fun. I actually got called for my number and I got a fishing rod. It had basically a mini tackle box attached to it. It had 2 bobbers, some bait, hooks, more bait, slob bait.
And the Wicomico County Youth Fishing Derby has been a community tradition for more than 50 years.
After their Game 1 win in the NBA Finals, the Indiana Pacers are giving off a team of destiny vibe. There was their comeback win in the second round against the Cavaliers, the high bouncing shot to cap a comeback in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks, and then the Game 1 miracle against OKC. OKC, the site of Sunday night's Game 2. We go late first quarter. Jalen Williams, the drive, gets it to go. He was fouled, and the Thunder are up 30-23. All right, let's go to the third quarter. That's where Isaiah Hartenstein lobs it to Chet Holmgren, rams it home. This makes it 91-73 Thunder. Check it out again there. And then in the fourth quarter, Alex Caruso for a corner 3. Indiana had no answer Sunday night. OKC, the big win. Series is tied at 2. Game 3 in Indiana Wednesday night. To Pittsburgh, Phillies and Pirates, 1-1 tie, bottom 8th. Andrew McCutchen, the base hit, brings home O'Neill Cruz, and this is the game-winning run, folks. Phils are swept by the last-place Pirates. They've now lost 5 in a row. Despite a 3-for-4 day at the plate for Nathaniel Lowe, the Nationals drop a 4-2 game to the former Washington Senators, the Texas Rangers. The Athletics cool off the Orioles, winning the rubber game against the Birds. Shorebirds can only scrape together 3 hits and a 3-1 loss to Fredericksburg. It wrapped up a 4-7 road trip. Birds begin a series tomorrow night at Purdue with Salem. Tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 8, it's boys basketball with Waihi and Bennett. 10 o'clock post time, that's followed by the final score. And here are the exclusives on the DSN Plus app. 2 games in the Maryland Supreme Boys Basketball League. Both of those taking place at 6:15.
It is a foggy start to our Monday. You can see that in Dover right now on the Bay Health Cam and all over Delmarva, so take it slow this morning. Otherwise, a muggy and warm Monday with more showers and storms Tuesday, followed by warm to hot conditions as we progress through the rest of the week. I'll have your forecast details in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The time is now 5:47, and we are taking a live look outside at Salisbury this morning. Bob, you said you were a storm chaser this morning driving into work.
Yes.
I was as well. It was some pretty crazy weather out there.
It was crazy, Elisa. Yeah, I was on the heels of that storm moving to the north and east this morning. I just encountered wet roads on the way to work, and we had some thunder and lightning and watch for the wet roads this morning. In the wake of that, we've got the fog, and today and tomorrow will be mostly cloudy, muggy, temperatures in the 70s and 80s. Then a stormy Tuesday with a cold front, more on that coming up. And then midweek we start to warm up. I think we have lower humidity Wednesday, then increasing temperatures Thursday and Friday. Maybe our first 90-degree day of the year possible as we go through the week with rising humidity. Right now it's the fog. That's a big story. Only quarter-mile visibility in Ocean City, 3/4 of a mile in Georgetown and Easton, with 1.5 miles in Cambridge and Salisbury. So bottom line is take it slow this morning. Leave extra time to get to work and maybe delay your travel by a couple of hours if you can. Wait till the fog lifts. We're looking at mid to upper 60s out the door this morning, 67 in Salisbury and Willards. Bethany Beach 65, Rehoboth 64, Georgetown at 65. And we still have an easterly breeze. That kept us cool yesterday, and the winds are going to shift today, so I don't think we're as cool today. In fact, a little warmer. There are those storms that we had a couple hours ago. Those are well to the northeast now. We had a few between Dover and Middletown. Now we're just looking at the dense fog. There are some of those showers up near Wilmington and into the Philly area. Otherwise, we're looking at very muggy conditions over Delmarva right now. As we have weak low pressure headed our way, I think for the most part we're dry today. Just a foggy start, then some afternoon sun. Then we have a series of cold fronts back through the Midwest, and this will increase our chances for showers and storms as we go into your Tuesday. But it's the fog this morning, 7 a.m. on Futurecast. Be extra careful out there as we warm into the 70s. I think the fog will gradually lift as we go through the morning, but it might hang on for a while. By noon, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, upper 70s inland, 60s and 70s at the beaches. Not the best beach day for sure. I think we could see some afternoon sun that gets us into the low, maybe mid 80s well inland. That might be a little optimistic. Otherwise, we're looking at 60s and 70s with very muggy conditions. As we go through this evening, we're going to see that fog perhaps redeveloping once again. Then as we go into Tuesday, that cold front I alluded to moves through. Now, this model is bringing showers and storms through early in the morning, maybe some heavy rain and gusty winds as we go through the morning hours, then maybe another round of storms as we go into the afternoon hours, and then the cold front comes through, and then we start to dry things out as we go into Tuesday evening. We could see damaging winds with the marginal threat for severe weather, I think especially Tuesday afternoon. So keep that in mind. And then Wednesday, it's lower humidity, but warm with mid-80s, and then by Thursday and Friday, it's a taste of summer. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, maybe our first 90-degree reading of the year. We'll have to see about that. But we're muggy and humid the next couple of days, a little drier Wednesday, and then back into the soup, so to speak, as we go into the end of the week with very humid conditions into the weekend. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast. Loud bell. Lower 80s today and tomorrow. Showers and storms Tuesday, some of those strong to severe. 84 Wednesday, 88 on Thursday with sunshine, 87 Friday, and then can we have a nice weekend at some point? I don't know. Saturday, showers and storms, 81. Maybe it'll be nicer for Dad on Father's Day. Sunday, mostly cloudy and 76.
All right, thank you, Bob. And we've been talking about the big rain here. There's been dangerous weather in other parts of the U.S.
NBC's Ryan Chandler shows us across the South and the East what could be the year's another round of deadly and destructive storms.
Tonight, a severe storm system churning out at least one tornado at the Oklahoma-Texas border, with huge swaths of the U.S. in the danger zone during a weekend of wild weather.
Oh my gosh!
An astonishing supercell in New Mexico, turning the sky dark. And this tornado touching down in Missouri, spinning 105-mile-per-hour winds for nearly 5 miles, damaging dozens of buildings and downing trees and power lines. The string of storms turning deadly since yesterday. Georgia's governor says one person died due to severe weather there. Another death confirmed in Mississippi. And in Boston today, an eerie haze as smoke from Canadian wildfires blankets parts of New England. Chief meteorologist Rick Mitchell with our NBC station in Dallas says the worst weather could come to parts of Oklahoma and Texas in the middle of the night and that could be more dangerous.
It's those people that go to bed at 9:30 and it's doing nothing, and then all of a sudden, bam, a tree goes through a window, wakes them up. Those are the folks that, I have concern.
Also seeing damage in western Pennsylvania. Check out flooding right there as streets were closed. Big highways were affected. This is the aftermath of that heavy rain on Friday. And the time is now 5:52, so we are going to check in with our coastal pet of the day.
And today's coastal pet of the day is back like he never left. That is Seamus on your screen, folks. Seamus is back from a whopping 8-week vacation.
Wow.
How did he score that? After deciding life on the road was not for him, he's taking notes from the Wizard of Oz, and his family says he told them, quote, "There's no place like home." Seamus was submitted to us by his family in Lewis.
And we want to see more of your pets on Delmarva. Send us photos and tell us what makes them so special. You can take a look at your screen.
And that is where that QR code is. Scan it. You can get your friends to us here and then watch weekdays from 5 to 7 a.m. to see all the pets we feature.
An invasive ant is causing problems across the country. The Asian needle ant has a sting that is as sharp and sudden and sometimes dangerous. The ants are increasingly invading backyards and biting gardeners. The ants don't leave trails, so they're hard to find and track. These ants are carnivorous and look for prey, including flies, beetles, and grasshoppers. There are reports of people having serious allergic reactions to the needle ant sting. Scientists want to inform people about these ants because they reach their yearly peak numbers in July and August.
Paramount Chairwoman Sherry Redstone is undergoing treatment for thyroid cancer. The 71-year-old spokesperson says her prognosis is excellent. Redstone has been in the headlines for trying to orchestrate a merger of the company with Skydance Media. Involved in that is President Donald Trump's lawsuit against 60 Minutes. Reports say Redstone wants Paramount to settle that case.
And the time is now 5:56, so we're going to take another look at your forecast before you head out the door.
Yeah, Bob, after some loud thunder in the early morning hours, we're just looking to calm things down a bit.
Yeah, kind of a 1-2 punch from Mother Nature. First the storms and now the fog. In fact, only a quarter mile in fog in Ocean City, 3/4 of a mile in Georgetown and Salisbury. So take it slow out there. Maybe delayed travel by a couple of hours because the fog is still here through about 7 or 8 a.m. Then clouds, some afternoon sun. I think we're near 80 this afternoon. That's my projected high. Paul Davis 10-day forecast, showers and storms. Some of those could be strong with a cold front on Tuesday, 81. We dried out Wednesday, 84, and then 88 on Thursday. It gets hot and it gets humid at the end of the week too. And then into the weekend, well, maybe more showers and storms Saturday, 81. Hopefully drier for Dad on Sunday, 76. It does cool down into early next week. More rain chances Monday and maybe then again on Wednesday.
All right, thank you, Bob. And coming up in our next hour, riot reaction after another night of violence in Los Angeles. What Delaware and Maryland's governors are saying over President Trump's deployment of the National Guard. That and more when we continue with Coast TV News Today.